Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez.
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry.
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1 is public comment. Do we have any comment cards?
No, sir.
We have no public comment cards. And a crowd. That's good. Good. Well, we'll be moving on to item 2. Madam Clerk.
Acceptance of the minutes of the March 19, 2019 meeting as published on March 28, 2019.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Guidry. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 3.
Persons to address the council. Students from Westgate High School with a presentation entitled Next Era.
Good evening.
We are from Westgate High with students 9th and 12th grade. We're partnering with the Healthier Air campaign under the direction of Mrs. Renee Stansberry and the wonderful Ms. Jennifer Kidd. She coordinates us all. And we're here to educate our peers about tobacco products and the harmful effects and the effects of vaping.
We are students from Westgate High School. Healthier Air for All is an organizational campaign that reaches out to schools and businesses around Louisiana to educate them on the dangers of tobacco use and how it affects the environment. The club Next Era is working with them to involve the students into this effort and is slowly branching out. Next Era gets help from the students at different schools to promote a smoke-free environment within their community because of the danger of smoking and secondhand smoke with certain workforce environments that employees have to face for people in general.
Hi, my name is Makaya Benoit. I'm a 10th grade student from Westgate, and I'm here today to discuss smoking in the workplace. Smoky workplaces are a very common problem in Louisiana that must be put to an end. While many people believe that the workers exposed should get a new job or request a transfer, this isn't exactly easy. It is difficult for workers to find jobs that they are qualified for, and many cannot afford the risk of quitting and losing their only source of income. In addition to this, workplaces are supposed to be safe areas designed to protect employees from potential danger. According to data collected by the CDC, since the 1964 Surgeon General's report, over 2.5 million adults who were non-smokers died due to exposure to smoke. While secondhand smoke does not immediately cause death, other fatal conditions such as lung cancer, heart disease, and strokes can arise due to prolonged exposure. It is for these reasons that I believe that we need changes in where all forms of tobacco are allowed.
Hi, my name is Aksa Khan, and I'm a 10th grader from Westgate. So we all know Febreze, right? The spray that's in all those commercials. What comes out of the Febreze cans is water vapor, and this water vapor has certain chemicals that makes the air smell good. And the water vapor, it just eventually evaporates and goes off into the air. It's not a big deal, it doesn't harm you. But what people don't get is that certain products like e-cigarettes and other tobacco products, they think that what comes out of them is water vapor, but it's actually aerosol. And aerosol is in many disinfecting sprays like Lysol and hairspray. And when it goes into the environment, do you really want to be breathing that in? It pollutes the environment, and we unknowingly pollute ourselves when we breathe it in. So these are chemicals that are being sucked into your body, and they're causing all kinds of effects that are still unknown to scientists. So we should put an end to this right now before many other people die from getting lung cancer or other diseases without even knowing why they even got them. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophia Babineau. I'm a 10th grader from Westgate. Secondhand smoke causes approximately 7,330 deaths from lung cancer and 33,950 deaths from heart disease each year. Not only are you intaking harmful chemicals and ingredients when you vape, such as nicotine and diacetyl, which is a chemical linked to serious lung disease, but you are also put at risk for breathing in all that secondhand smoke. These chemicals can worsen asthma and constrict arteries, which can cause heart attacks. This harmless water vapor can have the same effect as vaping. This can lead to cancer. Do we really want to be the generation that brings it back? I'm asking the City Council to inform public facilities like restaurants and workplaces to not let this continue any further. Be the first.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Good job. Madam Clerk, item 4.
Proclamations. Proclamation declaring the week of April 7th to April 13th, 2019 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week, being presented to Kathleen Terrio.
Good evening. Thank you for having me again this year. And I just want to invite everyone to our 16th annual rally that we're having this year. And this year especially, we have a very special speaker from Voice. It's Mr. Sterling Cologne. His daughter, Danae Cologne, was murdered by the serial killer Derek Todd Lee. And just so happened the rally falls on her birthday this year. She would have been 40 years old, so he will be speaking. And we have Mr. Gary Young from Louisiana State Penitentiary that's coming. And we also have our mayor that's going to be there. So I would like to invite everyone to please come out and support us. And even if you have been fortunate enough not to have been a victim or a crime, please come out and support those that have been. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I have a proclamation I'll read. Whereas in 1982, the President's Task Force on Victims of Crime envisioned a national commitment to a more equitable and supportive response to victims. Whereas the commemorative week celebrating the energy, perseverance, and commitment that launched the victims' rights movement inspired its progress and continued to advance the cause of justice for crimes victims. Whereas crime can leave a lasting impact on any person regardless of age, national origin, race, creed, religion, gender, sex orientation, immigration, or economic status. Whereas incorporating communities' existing experts and trusted sources of support into efforts to fully service survivors will develop a criminal justice system responsive that is truly accessible and appropriate for all victims of crime. Whereas with the unwavering support of their communities and victim service providers behind them, survivors will be empowered to face their grief, loss, fear, anger, and hope without fear of judgment and will feel understood, heard, and respected. Whereas serving victims and rebuilding their trust restores hope to victims and survivors as well as supporting thriving communities. Whereas engaging a broader array of healthcare providers, community leaders, faith organizations, educators, and businesses can provide new links between victims and service that provides their safety, healing, and access to justice. Whereas honoring the victims, the rights of victims, including the rights to be heard and to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, and working to meet their needs, rebuilds their trust in the criminal justice and social service system. Whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week provides an opportunity to recommit to ensuring that all victims of crime, especially those who are challenged to reach or serve, are offered culturally and linguistically accessible and appropriate services in the aftermath of crime. And whereas the City of New Iberia is hereby dedicated to strengthen victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resilience in our community and our victims responders, and working for a better future for all victims and survivors. Now therefore, I, Mayor Freddie DeCourt, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the City of New Iberia, proclaim April 7th to April 13th, 2019 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and affirm the City of New Iberia's commitment to create a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime during Crime Victims' Rights Week and throughout the year, and to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our responsiveness to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here you go. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. Madam Clerk, 4B.
Proclamation declaring the month of April as Fair Housing Month. Nobody's here for that.
Is anybody here for this one?
No, it's just something we do.
Okay, well, we'll save it. Thank you. That last one was long. Madam Clerk, item 5.
Audit report, presentation of the 2017-2018 Independent Auditor's Report for fiscal year ending October 31st, 2018 by Burton Colder, Arthur Mixon, Mandy Shelf is not here, with the CPA firm of Colder, Champagne, Slavin and Company.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Mayor and members of the council, for allowing us to come and present our report tonight for the audit of the year ending October 31, 2018. And in order to, you have several exhibits before you in addition to the 90-page report, which is in the blue cover. I will refer to a couple of things in the report, and then in the blue bound cover, and then we're going to go through the exhibits, which, in my opinion, it makes it a lot easier to facilitate the presentation and get to the matter at hand. Let me first of all mention on page 88, there was our internal control and audit and compliance findings. In addition to doing the annual audit of the financial information, we're required to look at the internal controls of the city and see if there's some problems that we would encounter in the checks and balances, so to speak. And I'm happy to say here tonight that we didn't have any internal control findings and no compliance issues. And in addition to that, if we see something that's not as severe as an internal control finding, but something that needs to be presented to management or to this body, we would need to do that as well. And I'm happy to say we don't have anything to present to you. So that's no report relative to that is good news, guys. So I just wanted to point that out. And we had the same sort of situation last year. So this is 2 years in a row that we don't have any particular findings that we need to report to this council. We did meet with the administration, with the mayor and the chief financial officer, and went over some of the verbal, we call it verbal comments, just some items that we noted that you may want to tweak a little bit on certain things. We met with the mayor, as I said, and the chief financial officer in that respect. That's been done. Okay, if we would, let's flip to page 77 of the blue bound report. Page 77 is the statement of revenues and expenses and changes in fund balance or net position of the sewage fund, the only utility operation that you have here in the city of New Iberia. And we have comparative numbers here that we can look at, and we're going to look at it from a different perspective on an approximate per customer per month basis on one of the exhibits. So that being said, the operating revenues last year were about $5,031,000. This year they're $5,297,000. Now, if you look at the details of that, the customers went up from $4,152,000 to $4,269,000. So they went up about $100,000 on the charges to the customers. Then we get some items from the parish government under the cooperative agreement, and that number went up from $879,000 to $1,028,000. But as we talked about this, I think there was a couple of $100,000, Freddie, that's non-recurring that you got for treatment of items, and you may want to expand upon that.
Yeah, there are some areas where we get paid to do some treatment of some companies and some other things. And we also had some grant money that came in that those company treatments, we don't know for sure if they're always going to be the same.
Right.
But we also had some grant money come in that I don't know that we're going to get that every year.
Right. So it may not be non-recurring. It may be. We don't know at this point. But that being said, you still went up, as you can see, by $260,000 in increase in the sewage revenues. Now, the expenditures, the cost of services rendered, which is actual expenditures for salaries and maintenance and repairs of the facility, that went from $3,608,000. It went down slightly to $3,566,000. The next item is a depreciation item, which is a large item because you have quite an expenditure in the sewage treatment plant, and of course it's being amortized and depreciated over a period of time. Last year was $2,048,000. This year is $2,159,000. So total operating expenses of the sewage fund was $5,656,000. This year is $5,727,000 or $26,000. The loss at this line item, this is after depreciation, of course, was $624,000 last year. It went down approximately $200,000 to $428,000. Again, as the mayor pointed out, there was probably a couple of $100,000 of extra revenues that may not be extra next year. We may not be getting those. So we wanted to point that out to you. Then you have non-operating revenues, and here's where that grant revenue is shown, as the mayor just indicated, $94,000. We didn't have any of that last year. Then you have some investment earnings on the monies invested. Your interest on your bonds was $288,000 versus $274,000, and you have non-employer pension contributions that you have to report. And total non-operating expenses is $185,000 last year. This year it's down to $96,000, primarily because we have the federal grant revenues being shown. So the loss before contributions and transfers was $810,000 last year. Again, after depreciation, this year it's $525,000. You still have a healthy net position because you have a lot of investment in the plant, and the net assets of this particular system is about $36 million. But again, we don't have that nearly in cash, as you might imagine. That being said, let's look at Exhibits 1 and 2 of the handout, and this will give it to you on a kind of on a rough average, but it's a rough average for every year presented. On Exhibit 1, shows you the approximate number of customers that you have in the sewer system. Everybody sees it, Exhibit 1? Okay. And it had 11,698 customers this year. Last year was 11,885. The year before that was about 12,000. So we've got a slight decrease in number of users, number of customers. Income per customer per month, you can see the item in 15 was $37.39. 16 went down to $36. Last year was $35. And then in 18, it went up again. Again, this is total revenues, $37.74. Your operating costs, however, pretty much the same as where they were way back 4 years ago at $40.44. This year they're at $40.53. Our operating loss went from $4.38 last year to $2.79 for the current year. So this is the lowest of the 4 years presented of loss. Now, to that number, I'm going to add back the depreciation, because depreciation is for items that have already been paid for, and now we're writing those items off, primarily the plant and so on, and the infrastructure that we are depreciating and writing off over a period of time. So that equates to $15.39. So from a cash flow standpoint, when you add that depreciation back, basically the system made $12.60 net of depreciation, or when I add the depreciation back. So from a cash flow standpoint, you did better. Last year was $9.98. The year before that was $12.26. Now, on Exhibit 2, going along with the sewer, we give you some comparisons, and we've done this before for you with some other cities, some larger, some smaller, but just to give you an idea of where you stand as far as what you're charging your customers and what your costs are in relationship to some other cities. We have the city of New Iberia, of course, in the first column, and that's the same numbers you just looked at $37.74. And then Karen Crow is next. They're charging an average of $41.08. Lafayette's at $56.33, Broussard's at $17.80, and Leesville's at $22.79. Look at your operating expenses, and that's where you want to compare it to each one of these systems. And you can see you compare pretty favorably with Lafayette and with Broussard. You're at $40.53. Carencro is close at $37.05. Lafayette $51.04, and Broussard's at $42.53, and Leesville's at $29.68. Your operating income or loss, you showing a loss of $2.79. The city of Carencro is a profit of $4.03. And Lafayette's, of course, $5.29. Broussard is a loss of $24.73. Well, I'm sure you're well aware, and I've mentioned it before, the city of Broussard has significant amounts of sales tax that they're using to subsidize the sewer system. They are gradually increasing their rates, but it's a slow process. But the costs are very relative to yours, and in Leesville's at $29.68, and you can see their loss was $6.89. But on a cash flow basis, you're doing pretty favorably there, $12.60 versus Lafayette's at $14.94. Broussard's losing money even after depreciation at $6.57, and in Leesville's at $4.02. Any questions on these? I will tell you this, the city of Carencro is going to have to spend probably in the neighborhood of $25 to $28 million on their new sewer system that they're going to have to do. They did pass a sales tax, however, to help subsidize that in the future. Other than that, they would have had to go up dramatically on their rates. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $70, as I recall, was the projection. So just to let you know that. Okay, that being said, I'm sorry, is there any questions or anything that I might be able to answer?
First comment I'm asking. You're doing so good. I don't want to jinx it.
Okay. All right, number 3 on the exhibits, exhibit number 3, we're going to go through a comparison of total revenues of the city to the budget and to prior years. So if you flip to exhibit number 3, you can see the first column. This is your final amended budget for 2018. Then the second column, we have your actual numbers. Now, all of these actual numbers are a lot of them are in separate funds, which is in this 90-page report that we have. But I've kind of consolidated these so you can get a good feel for it, because we'd have to flip to about 6 or 8 pages in the report and then try and add numbers. Make it easier for you. We try and present it accordingly. And you also have the 17, 16, and 15 actual numbers. Looking at all of this, you can see the first item is the tax revenues, ad valorem taxes, very close to budgeted. You budget $4,571,000, came in at $4,575,000, $3,600 off of budget, higher than budget. Last year was $4,588,000, and you can see the numbers for the prior 2 years, pretty much at $4.5 million each year. Sales tax is the next category. You budgeted to receive $15,267,000, and that's with 2.5 cent sales tax. The new police sales tax, or half-cent sales tax, I think that went in effect, and you maybe had 9 months or 8 months of revenues there for this year. But that being said, it is included in here, and it brought in about $2.5 million. And so it's included in that $15.5 million. If you look at that last year, it was at $13 million. So the increase that you have is basically because of the new half-cent sales tax, okay, from one fiscal to the next. You're very close to budget. You came in at $192,000 above budget, so you got more than what you thought you were going to receive on the budget. Now, franchise taxes are very close. You budgeted to receive $1,800,000. $852,000. We got $1,939,000. So here we're $88,000 above where we were estimating on the budget. Last year was $1,834,000. Year before that was $1,007,000. So we see an uptick here on the franchise revenues, which means that people, the companies that you have franchise agreements with, are doing more business in the city because you get a certain percentage of their revenues. So that's a good sign. Licenses and permits budgeted at $1,620,000, actually brought in $1,580,000. That's $40,000 below budget. Last year was $1,621,000. Intergovernmental, $2,618,000 was on the budget, actually brought in $2,590,000. Last year was $2,574,000. Year before that was $5,584,000. You might say, why? Well, you had more grant revenues that came in at that time and were received. The next category is your fines and forfeits, and those items are very low. You had budgeted to receive about $30,000. We're at only $2,935. I would anticipate that this will increase in the current year. Now that you have your own police department that you're now controlling, and they're writing tickets as it relates to the city. As you know, prior to that, we were using the sheriff's department, and so I don't think there was probably not a whole lot of motivation to write some citations. So it was only $3,000 last year. Miscellaneous revenues. Total revenues here were budgeted at $1,459,000, came in at $1,467,000, $8,000 more than what we thought. Last year was $1,459,000, so it's very comparable. Total revenues for the city of New Iberia includes the utility system, which is the charges for services of about $5 million, but the total revenues were budgeted at $32,529,000. Did better than that. You came in at $33,052,000, so we're $523,000 above budget on the revenue side. And you can see last year we did $30,291,000. As I pointed out earlier, though, we have $2.5 million of new revenues from the new sales tax. That's included in that number. But overall, look at the second to last line item at the bottom of the page. Your revenue variance from budget is only 0.86%. So y'all did a very good job there. And again, this is the final amended budget, but that being said, you have to be within 5%. Well, you're well within that. You're less than 1% off, which is very good. The next item is the expenditures. We're going to list all of those. The administration, we budgeted to spend $2.3 million. We actually spent $2,223,000, $74,000 below budget. Very close to last year at $2.2 million. At the public safety, budgeted to spend $12,487,000. That's police and fire. And you actually spent $12,618,000, $131,000 above budget. Last year was $11,344,000. Under public works, budgeted to spend $2,564,000, spent $2,502,000, $62,000 below budget. Last year was $2,470,000. The garbage, here you budgeted to spend $4,500,000. That's exactly what we spent, $4,585,000. Last year was $4,407,000. Culture and recreation, $1,131,000 on the budget. Spent slightly more than that at $1,139,000, and last year we spent $1,164,000. Urban redevelopment and housing, the Section 8 housing, budgeted to spend $1,327,000, actually spent $1,331,000. It's $3,500 above budget. Last year was $1,275,000. Utility fund expenses, which is the sewer fund, we just talked about that. $3.5 million on the budget. That's pretty much what you spent. $67,000 more than we was anticipated. Depreciation, right on the money at $2,159,000. Under debt service for the principal retirement, you budgeted to spend $2,075,000. That's what you spent, and you can see the number last year was $1,771,000. So you spent about $300,000 more on principal retirement this past year. Interest and fiscal charges, $702,000 on the budget. Actually spent $702,711. And in the capital outlay, you budgeted to spend $2.5 million for capital. We spent slightly more than that at $2,726,000. And you can see the total expenditures for the city. You budgeted to spend $35,383,000. Spent slightly more than that at $35,630,000. That's $248,000 above budget. But the bulk of it is in two categories. It's in the public safety and also in the capital outlay. So those two items. Now you had some items that went below budget. So, but all in all, it's not bad, $247,000. If you look at the very last line item on this page, it's 0.6% more than what was thought on the budget. That's, again, excellent. If you can keep it within one, I mean, that's excellent there. And as I said, you have to be, the tolerance is 5%, and that's the state law. So you're well within that, of course. Excess or deficiency of revenues, you had anticipated having a deficiency at this line item, the middle of the page, $2,853,000. The revenues we brought in minus the expenses, including capital outlay, we anticipated it being a $2.8 million shortfall. Came in below that at $2,578,000. We're $275,000 to the good. We got 523,000 more revenues, and we spent 248,000 more than what was anticipated, but it nets out to a 275 to the positive here. Included in this, of course, is the capital outlay that you had, which is included in, as a lot of this is the police units that had to be purchased and or leased, but you have to show this in governmental accounting as a proceeds from the issuance of debt. So this is what the next category is. You funded that with $2.8 million of new debt that you had to do to purchase these on a lease purchase type basis. Then you have an excess or deficiency at the next line item. You anticipated it being a $34,000 surplus after we add back the sources of funds from the issuance of the debt. Then we end up on an actual basis quite a bit better than this at $309,000, and that's $275,000 more than what was anticipated. The next category is the other revenues, and here you had a net item of net revenues of $70,000. It really came in at $131,000 of expenditures because of the grant revenue and other income in the utility fund. We anticipated getting more than we got, and long and short is on a $33 million budget, revenue budget, you operated this past year at $178,000 surplus. Okay. You had anticipated it being a $105,000 surplus. So we did $73,000 more than what we thought we were going to do. Okay? Any questions on this? This is a lot of numbers here, but in a nutshell, we did operate at a surplus.
Yeah, I got one question.
Sure.
Under urban redevelopment and housing, and I guess that's probably for you. Is that HUD housing? So that's not, because it just sounds like urban redevelopment and housing. Sounds like we got some money to redevelop and house some people, but
That's our
Section
program.
that's our HUD program. Okay,
That's the government term.
gotcha.
Yep, that's the terminology we need to use. Any additional questions?
No? Good?
Okay, good deal. The next category that we want to look at is page 63 of the blue bound book. Page 63. We've looked at the operations now of the city for last year, how it relates to the budget, and how we relate it to the prior years. So now we're going to take a look at, well, how many assets do we have, cash and related assets, and then how much debt does the city have, and what's the remaining portion? I'm going to focus on page 63 at the third column, which is the total of the balance sheet, so to speak, or net position of the city as of October 31 of 18. And we've laid in the 2017 relative numbers in total for the city. The first item in the assets is the cash and interest-bearing deposits. Last year we were at $16.5 million. We're up to $17,720,000. I would say there's two factors there. You have depreciation, which is a non-cash item. We talked about that. And then you had a little surplus for the year of about $180,000, hence the increase in your cash position. And that's just in broad terms, but that's basically the reasons for it. Excuse me, accounts receivable last year was $648,000, this year $662,000. Internal balances, those balance off. Due from other governmental units, $2,283,000 last year, $2,818,000 this year. I think the bulk of this is in the sales tax that's owed to the city from the collecting agency, and that's the majority of this, and that's the reason for the increase from the prior year. Real estate held for sale, pretty much the same, $61,000. Prepaid expenses was $874 last year. It's nothing this year. Restricted assets, $312,000 versus $315,000. And then your capital assets, your non-depreciable was $5,175,000, and last year it is $5,689,000 for the current year. Your net book value of your depreciable assets was $82 million last year. It's down to $79 million for the current year. So basically, we have about $80 million in depreciable assets, and that's the estimated book value. Total assets of the city, very close to last year, $107,383,000. We have $107,231,000 for the current year. This deferred outflows of resources, this is on the refunding of some debt, and also the pension. As everybody knows, we've mentioned it before, you're required to show the city's portion of the state retirement plans, and you got to show your portion of it. These numbers are given to us, dictated to us from the actuaries who compute this at the state level. They give us this, and they tell us how much is the portion that pertains to the city of New Iberia. So that's why you see that deferred outflow of pension. This is like a prepaid pension type item, 3.9 million. But this is something that you can't touch, and we're going to get into this in just a minute. But I need to show it. I'm required to present this in order to pass compliance. Now, the liabilities of the city, you can see the big items here. If you look down into it's the long-term liabilities, which is the bonded debt of the city. The portion that's payable within a year was 2.2 million last year. It's 2,597,000. So you're going to retire about 2,600,000 of principal next year, or in the year that we're in right now, ending in 19. Portion due or payable after 1 year was 29.5 million last year, and it's 29.2 million for the current year. So it's pretty much the same. Other post-employment benefits, this is on the health plan. We're required, again, you have to get an actuary to come up with this based on the employees that you have and how much the city would have to fund once they retire from the city in their group health insurance plan. This is, again, numbers that are given to us, but they're huge numbers. It was 6.9 million last year, and it's $7.3 million for the current year. The net pension liability, this is what I mentioned earlier. This is from the state pension plan, $13.8 million last year. This year it's at $14.5 million as it pertains to the city's retirement for its employees. And again, these numbers are brought to us and given to us. I'm going to show you where I'm going to take them out so we can see what's remaining for the city. Net position of the city, if I take the assets of about 107 million minus the total liabilities of about 55 million, including the pension, I'm left with about $55,489,000 net position. It was about 56 million last year, so it's close. What I want you to focus on is look at the net unrestricted. It's a big deficit. But remember, that is after we show that pension liability and also that unfunded or actuarially computed OPEB liability, which is other post-employment benefits. Those numbers equate to about $22 million, okay? These are going to be funded over time, and they're going to be paid to the pension plans. But we have to present them here so that you can see them. That being said, let's go now to the next exhibit, which is on Exhibit 4. And I'm going to get to the point that I'm trying to make here. On Exhibit 4, we're going to start with the unrestricted deficit position of $12,607,000. And I presented 17 and I presented 16 numbers. It's 13 million last year, 10.5 million or 10.8 million the year before. To that number, I'm going to add back the state pension liability, which is about $12 million for pretty much each year there. The other post-employment benefit, which is the group health, I'm going to add that back. That's $7.2 million. And then sales tax dedications, we're required to present those separately, but you have 2.5 cents of sales tax, which are broadly used for various funding items. So I'm going to add those items because those are available to you is what I'm trying to get at. So I'm taking out the pension, I'm taking out the group health, and I'm adding back the sales tax dedications. And here's your available net position of the city. It's about $13,053,000, okay? And if you remember on that balance sheet, we had like 16 million in cash or 17 million in cash. So last year was 11.6 million and it was 12.2 million the year before. Now, this number 2 on this next page, on this same page, shows actual annual expenditures. You remember that was that summary page on Exhibit 3 that we looked at. It's about 35.6 million is what you're spending. But I want to take out the capital outlay because you don't necessarily spend that every year. So I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to say, okay, how much expenditures are we spending here in the city of New Iberia without capital? We're spending about $32,900,000 this past year. We spent $31 million the year before and $32 million in 16. Average daily expenditures, you're spending about $90,000 to operate this city this past year. $90,000 a day. Year before that was $85,000, and year before that was $87,500. Now let's focus on number 3. Here's the conclusion of what I'm trying to get at. Amount recommended for 60 days that you should have is about $5.4 million. Everybody sees that. And 60 days is kind of a benchmark. You should have at least 2 months to operate this city of available reserves. Well, you've got $7.6 million in excess of that. And all I'm doing is in number 1, I'm taking the $13 million and I'm taking out the 60 days, which is $5.4 million, and you're left with an extra $7.6 million. So how many days can you operate the city with the available resources that you have to operate, not to pay capital? 145 days. So you guys are in pretty good shape here. Last year was 136 days, so we've improved it by about 9 days over the prior year. I see some cities with double that. I see a lot of them way below that. Some of them are at the 60 days or less point. And so yours has improved, and that's a good situation. So any questions here? A lot of numbers and a lot of verbiage that we've been talking about. Any questions?
One question.
Sure.
I have to go without a question now.
All right.
Do we have to have a percentage in our fund balance by law, or no?
Nothing in the law.
Nothing in the law to say
You
that?
should not have a deficit fund balance,
Right.
and you can't budget a deficit fund balance.
Nothing legally says we have to have so much.
Certain percentage, no, sir. And the 60 days, Dan, is basically just a benchmark by governmental
Right.
accounting standards that kind of says you should have at least 2 months of available reserves. And that's all it is. But it's just, it's kind of a guide point.
Okay.
That's all it
Thank you.
is.
And
Yes, ma'am.
the lowest we've been was what? We had, at one point we were down to 20 days?
Well, way back when, yes.
Okay.
Way back.
Just making sure.
It's been a number of years, but. which
Within
we
the
don't-
last
It was a pass.
6.
Before we got.
Well, yeah, it
Before we
was.
get-
You're
before we
absolutely
get-
right, Natalie. I think.
No, it was the
I think you're
first year we came in.
right.
I said before Freddie and them got here.
Right. No, yes.
I'm trying to give it to them.
Now, also, Natalie, I
I'm
want
just trying to show the public like how far we've come, you know.
Right, you have.
20
Now-
days to 145. That's a,
Correct.
Right.
what is that? A
20 to-
600% increase?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6 times. You're right. So
Just
that-
putting
that's
that out
good.
there. It's a lot of diligence. It's a lot
Well, I'm
of
not telling you to
people
go out there and
sacrificing.
spend too, because, you know, you
No,
have
no,
145
no, I'm
days.
just trying to
Please
say, because you,
continue the
but
conservatism.
you always, you always
Give me
have
barrels.
certain people that are like, what is the city doing? Where's the money going? What are they doing? Nothing's like, I don't see anything happening. Like, we're trying to get to a point where we're financially responsible enough to where we can do good things without putting ourselves in a bind.
Right.
And that took a lot of push and pull from everyone, council members, department heads, workers. I mean, it was really like a group
It's a
effort.
it's
It
a
was a
concerted
family
effort.
thing.
No
yeah.
question. No
For
question
sure.
about that. So that's a good thing. I'd say just keep it up. I mean, you continuing to serve the people, and you can do certain things, and if you have monies, you can do so, you know, and you have enough available reserves. Any additional questions? Yes, sir.
Back to questions concerning my district. This 61,343 in real estate held for resales, that's some of our civic source properties, or it's a little bit of everything that we have for sale.
I don't remember what those are. I don't know if Kevin remember. I'm not sure. Kevin, do you remember that 61,000, I think?
There was some property we acquired through adjudication and or property returned back to us.
Okay, so there's probably is some of the adjudicated property, some of the civic source property, which we have up for sale.
Right.
CivicSource.com.
Of course, we need to sell it. We need to sell it to be able to use it.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And it
It's
costs-
listed as an asset,
But it's
but
an
we need to
asset.
convert it into cash so
And
we
it's
can
an
use it.
expensive
Correct.
asset, because I gotta cut the grass, we gotta keep it up.
Right.
So
A lot of
it's
maintenance.
There's a lot of maintenance.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, that being said, on Exhibit 4, let's go to Exhibit number 5, and we'll compare. And then, this is just, again, I'm not gonna go through all of these numbers, but just gives it to you by day as far as what you're bringing in property taxes, what you're bringing in sales taxes on a daily basis. Where's your funding coming in to pay for this 90-some-odd thousand a day that you're getting? And you operated with a surplus of about $489 per day last year. It's a good thing. If you could look at 17 at the bottom, of 17 column, we operated at a deficit of 5,000 a day. But remember, we did a lot of capital, I think, then, or some capital there, and of course, we didn't have the additional revenues that we have coming in with the new sales tax. Okay, next exhibit is page 6. Just to kind of give you an idea of property taxes, sales taxes, and what is coming in to the city in that form of those taxes, and how much is being paid for by the citizens of this city relative to other cities. And you can see that the city of New Iberia is taxing the citizens in the form of ad valorem and in the form of sales tax. It comes out to about $676 per day. City of Carencro is $1,037 a day. And if you haven't been out there, I mean, we deliver the City of Carencro's report in a couple of weeks. We do their audit, but they're booming out there. Their sales tax will increase by 18%. And yeah, well, they have a new sales tax, but there's a lot of development there. I know y'all probably know about it. What, I'm sorry?
They have money to spend.
They do. But just a few years ago, going along with what Natalie was saying, probably within 5 years ago, their general fund was down to like 3 or 4 days of operation, general fund only. That's how bad it was. They passed this tax, and then, of course, the commerce began. City of Leesville is $814 is what they're taxing their citizens. City of Lafayette, we're paying $848.59. And Freddie, you and I talked about that in our exit, and you were saying, hey, if you look at the comparisons, Youngsville, for example, and if you just took Youngsville, it's probably more than this because their taxes are even higher. And you compare that to what a citizen would be paying living in the city of New Iberia, it's quite a bit less. City of Youngsville, you can see it, $819. City of Broussard, $1,231 is what they're bringing in. Now, again, that's not their citizens necessarily, but that's people doing business there. So, anyway, you compare, you're the lowest of all of these cities presented, some of which are larger, some of which are smaller. But that being said, you compare, you'd like to see that number increase with people from outside the city paying more in sales tax and more commerce here. All right, the last exhibit is something that we presented in the past relative to the amount of police expense that we were spending per citizen here in the city of New Iberia. And we're taking out the fine revenues here, which is minuscule here, or has been in the past. You can see the city of New Iberia police expenditures was $7,567,000 this past year. We brought in 2,900 in fines, so the net expense is $7,564,000. Population 29,620. Your average police expenditure per citizen comes out to about $255. City of Carencro is at $2,826,000. They bring in $461,000 in fines. Their net expenditure is $2,365,000. $8,973 on the population. Theirs equates to $263 per citizen. Leesville is very high at $463. City of Lafayette's at $225,000, so you're slightly above the City of Lafayette. City of Broussard's at $220,000. City of Scott's at $261,000. City of Youngsville's at $172,000. And Town of Orneville, of course, a very small community. I just wanted to point that out. But it equates to $426. So, in my opinion, you compare pretty favorably here. And if we can increase the fines a little bit with more citations and more court costs coming in, that will help the situation and hopefully minimize. Was that?
It won't help you get reelected, but
no. But anyway, you can see how you compare to most of this. Even the small town of Orneville with only 1,000 citizens, they're getting $30,000 in fine revenue. So I'm not saying for you to fine everybody, but obviously it's way understated. Any questions?
Anybody got any questions? Comments?
Any comments?
Comments on anything?
Always very clear, always very nice to see you.
Good. And it's always nice, Natalie, to deliver a report which is good here with no findings. The report's a clean opinion, and as we can see, the trends are up, and the comparability to the prior years, and even to other communities. You're doing well. You'd like to do better, of course, but you are doing very well. But keep up the conservative approach that you guys have here. I think you need to continue in that same vein. I think that's definitely the way to go.
We are, if you look at the report comparing to, we having less brackets around our numbers.
We do.
I learned that wasn't a good thing.
And y'all did a good job with your budget and amending your budget, and you're very close. So the numbers that are being presented by the administration, I think you can obviously rely upon to make decisions, and you have relied upon it. So all things look good. I say just keep up the good work, and I don't know if I can deliver a better report next year, but we'll certainly try.
Well,
And
I can't
guys
thank you
do a good
enough.
job.
Pleasure to work with you and your firm. I have to thank our finance director, Kevin. I have to thank the administration and this council. You know, you have believed in us, and we had a mountain to climb. We're not done, but we had, many issues. We have a few issues left. We are trying to get to that stability factor so that we can spend more money in the community. We have started to do some small projects. They're small, but we've started. But we got a long way to go. But you got to be solid. You got to be firm in what you have. I still can't borrow money. I still have no bonding ability. I'm paying off the road debt from previous. I'm paying off, when you look at our bonds, I meet with our bond attorney. I don't have any money to go and get a bond and hurry up and do some large projects. We're finding creative ways to get grants. We're finding creative ways to do smaller projects. I would rather do a splash pad and some playground equipment and fix the roof on this building and fix the air conditioning and handle the small items that can make a difference in people's lives. But it's the faith you have in all of us and continuing down this path, we're going to get that. But can't thank you enough, and it's not any one person. It's been a real group effort, and I appreciate everything.
And Mayor, I'd like to thank you and your staff, of course, and of course the members of this council for allowing us to work with you this past year. It's always a pleasure. We're looking forward to continuing the relationship in the future.
As are we.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, you had a
Well, I
hand
just
up?
wanted to say, this year, the administration took on building a police department,
That's right.
which was a big job with big money done quickly. And I think the fact that everything stayed under control and no findings and no compliance issues that I know of, I mean, that was a big accomplishment.
Definitely. I agree with you, Jeff. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further? Moving on. Oh, now we got some fun. Item 6.
A recommendation by the New Iberia Planning and Zoning Commission to rename Shot Street to Velma Lee Lane.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Swear. And I am going to call on Councilman Lewis.
Well, it took us a long time to get here, but I'm glad we're here. And it's all about the process. I really don't have a whole lot of, stuff to say. I know Ms. Vamley is deserving of a street name. The audience proves it. I'm glad to have been a part of it, though I had to. Like I said, this didn't start out with malice and confusion. It started out with tender love and care. It started out with tender love and care from the residents of that street. It started out with tender love and care from others who were concerned, and it's ending with tender love and care to make sure that Ms. Vamley gives her just due. So, at the end of the day, I'm not going to make no long speech, prepare a speech for doing what is right. Something stuck with me. My friend, Ms. Vamley's grandson, he says, I thought about him today, and he said, Greg Brooks Jr., he said, this should have been done. And I agree with it. But sometimes it takes stuff like this to get to the point we're at right now. And I'm just grateful that I'm here tonight with no bones about making this street named after Ms. Vamley. I had a guy, I talked to him, I called him out of respect, and I told him, I said, look, man, and I'm going to say this, I said, there's a lot of people deserving of street naming. And he said something, and he just cut me straight to the bone. He said, but not this street, Marlo. He said, but not this street, Marlo. And then I hung up on him. But it's all good though, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I want it to be a celebration, a community building event, a show of unity, and also I'm glad it didn't divide our council, because we've been doing a good job as a council. As you read the audit report, how well we've been working together, along with our public work director, our park director, our finance guy, all department heads. So for us to, divide ourselves over something, in the words of Ms. Vamily's grant, over something that should have been done, I'm not going that route. Homie ain't playing that. So we're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna be there, to support it. And it's a new day and a new chapter. And all I ask is that as a community, we continue to look for opportunities and ways to make our community better, whether it's naming a street, building a building, or coming in droves as concerned citizens to support someone deserving of honor that Ms. Vamily has done for our community. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, man. Mayor Pro Tem.
I think this is like the icing on the cake. All the work you did to clean up Shot Street. And I think it's due time we do it now. Prior to this, I don't think it was the right time. We got a new outlook down that street, a new appearance down that street. And looking forward, I think this is icing on the cake where everybody can see how pretty, as a respect as she was. She was a beautiful woman that did for the community and didn't ask nothing from the community. And the little bit I knew about her.
Right.
And I want to thank Miss Peggy for introducing me to her. Because I don't think other than that I would have even met the lady and appreciate what she did for us. And I think it is the right time now.
It is.
So thank y'all.
Got any other further comments? Anybody? All right. Well, let's get to it then. Please vote your machines. All right.
The signs tomorrow.
It's a good day, so we'll get
Does
this.
Leroy I should ask a question. Does Leroy have the sign ready?
No, it wasn't voted on.
It wasn't voted on
the
yet.
family and a few people have been asking, when is it going to be done? I definitely want the family to know when it's going to be done,
Do
so
we
they
want to
can
give out
kind of.
Leroy's cell phone number?
I was just thinking that if we want to do a little celebration on the street,
Yeah.
we could make the signs and we could set a date. We never did this, but why not?
I think the
and we
celebration
can get everybody
worthy.
out there
Yeah, we did
and
that, like, when
change
we
the
did
signs.
Bridge Street.
You know, good. Well, then we'll keep y'all posted. Thank y'all for coming, and we
And
moving
y'all
on.
welcome to stay.
And we're moving on to item number 7.
Resolution in opposition of all proposed legislation that transfers the administration and collection of local sales and use tax to the Louisiana Department of Revenue.
So moved.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl and a second by somebody who. Okay, a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. I thought I heard Councilwoman Guidry, but okay, okay,
I'll give it to her. We'll switch it.
okay. We'll switch it.
We'll switch it, ladies
Councilwoman
first.
Guidry. Great.
No.
Do we have any discussion on this item?
We don't want to do this.
This resolution was sent to us, and it's to stop the state from collecting our taxes. Basically, we will collect our taxes and tax our people and spend it accordingly. This is a movement that people are trying to put it where the state would collect all of our taxes and give it back to
A
us
centralized tax.
as a centralized taxing body. LMA asked us to, on the behalf of all cities, to pass this resolution that says we would rather collect our own taxes.
Now, once we pass this resolution, then what happens?
We'll send it on to LMA as a copy of it. They're getting that from communities around the state that they have asked to, and then it'll end up in Baton Rouge where they'll debate the issue and figure out what they're going to do. But I do think that we should be in charge of our own collections. Yes,
And parishes are doing the same thing.
correct. Yes, it's not just cities, it's parishes too. So we join in with all the rest of them to say that we can handle our business. Any further questions?
Well, I mean, is it a good idea? That's my question.
Oh, I think standing on our own and staying as we are is the best thing for our city.
Okay.
I wouldn't have put it. I mean, I'm not going to put everything that people send me on the agenda just because they sent it to me. But I really do feel that we should, control our own destiny and collect our own taxes.
So you're saying it's kind of like a trend going around the state, or it's
I think it was just an.
momentum,
I think it was just an idea that LMA was concerned that it would gain momentum and would be something that what if they don't give it back to us quick enough? What if it sits in a giant account to earn interest?
For how much it charges?
Or how much are they going to charge you to collect it? You don't know. So I'd rather in this case control our destiny. Yes, Natalie.
Maybe I can, basically like LMA.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Thank y'all. Sure.
Basically, like LMA is like here to like represent us and look at things and protect us. So if they see something, I feel like the way I'm catching it is like LMA feels like this might come down the pipe, so they want to get ready and have a say. Look, we don't want to do that. We don't want to lose control of our money. What if we don't get it back in time? What if they don't process it right? What if something's lost? So they want us to like defend ourselves first. So it's like every city will oppose it, send it into them. They'll do one big resolution. That way when somebody, Congress or state level, wants to put up this unique idea, LMA can just have it ready to tell all the legislators, nope, everybody's against it anyway already. Don't even waste your time. Don't even waste taxpayers' dollars trying to make it a bill. So I think that's kind of where, if I'm breaking it down better.
No. You're breaking it down too good. Let me tell you why. Because I read it wrong. I actually thought we were talking about this the money the taxes that we send to the state. We keep them and do what we want with them instead of asking them for state money to do.
Oh, well, I would have supported that.
I don't want none of that.
I don't mind making a mistake. No, definitely.
We should control our destiny.
Keeping our own money.
Yes.
So a yes is a no, right?
Yes. Thank you. Good explanation. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
A comment. I did read something about that. Whereas the state in the past had been exempting, say, all businesses in the by so much, but now it's upon the municipalities to decide whether you're going to exempt them or not. See, in the past it hadn't been like that. So in past administrations, not just the current one that we have, that's the way it had been. So now municipalities are getting to have a say in those kinds of things. We're going to do it or we're not going to do it. Just because the state does it doesn't mean that we have to do it.
Correct.
So
also, like if we're attracting new businesses and we're working through IETA and IDF and there are some incentives, we need to decide that, not on the state level. Further discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 8.
Public hearings. Public hearing on introduction of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-08 to amend the budget to appropriate receipt and expenditure of the fiscal year 2018-2019 LGAP for the purchase of 2 trucks for Public Works Department and to appropriate additional funding for said purchase.
Do I have a motion to open our public hearing?
Motion to open a public hearing.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Guidry. Thank you, Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Councilwoman Guidry, Councilwoman Ledbetter. Thank y'all very much. Madam Clerk, 8B.
Public hearing on introduction of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-08 to amend budget to appropriate funds according to the lowest contractor quotes for City Hall roof replacement and exterior painting for Bayou Teche Museum and to appropriate funds to replace a computer for the Section 8 department.
Motion to open a public hearing.
Motion to open.
Motion, Councilwoman Guidry and Councilman Lewis. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I need a motion to close.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Broussard. Thank y'all. 8C.
Public hearing on introduction of an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana through the Office of Facility Planning and Control and Wildlife, Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries, and the city of New Iberia for the New Iberia Boat Slips Project as per FP&C project number 160100866.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open.
Motion by Councilman Swear and a second by Councilman Gidry. Any public comment on this item? Hearing, seeing none, motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion to close, Councilwoman Gidry and Councilman Swear. Thank you. Item 9.
Budget amendments and ordinances. Adoption of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-08, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend the budget to appropriate receipt and expenditure of the fiscal year 2018-2019 LGAP for the purchase of 2 trucks for a public works department and to appropriate additional funding for said purchase.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Swear and Councilwoman Gidry. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 9B.
Adoption of budget amendment ordinance number 2018-2019-09, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend budget to appropriate funds according to the lowest contractor quotes for City Hall roof replacement and exterior painting for Bayou Teche Museum, and to appropriate funds to replace a computer for the Section 8 department.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis, a second by Councilman Broussard, and we have a question by the Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, sir.
Mayor, didn't we talk about the repair to the roof in the old fire station?
Yeah, that's a separate issue, and the chief already had the money in his budget.
Okay.
He didn't need any money because I questioned that at the last
Okay.
meeting, but he already had it budgeted.
Okay,
So that roof will happen as well. Matter of fact, the same contractor who was low on this roof is low on that one.
So the building is still being funded through the fire department, even though it's a building we rent out?
No, this is the fire station on Week Street that
Oh,
we
Week
utilize
Street.
as a fire
I
station.
thought it was a
You're
roof
thinking
on-
it's the
Yeah.
we call it the senior citizens
Right.
building, the old fire station, which is what we kind of call
Right.
it now. No, that's another project.
Okay.
And we budgeted $13,000 to do that. I haven't brought it to y'all yet because I
Okay.
got some prices and they were high. We redesigned it and I think we're gonna get it for like 10.
Okay,
So that's coming.
I-
But
I
this
remember
is
talking
the
about it.
active fire station on,
Oh.
on that you're asking about is on
Right.
Week Street.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Further discussion? Nope. Great. Vote your machines, please. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 9C.
Adoption of ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana to the Office of Facility Planning and Control and Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries and the city of New Iberia for the New Iberia Boat Slips Project as per FP&C project number 160100866.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Guidry. Do I have a second?
Second.
The Mayor Pro Tem beat you. He was low, but he beat you. Sorry. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all very much. Item 10.
Finance reports, presentation by Kevin Zarang, City Treasurer, of the November 1, 2018 through February 28, 2019 budget to actual comparisons.
Good evening.
Good evening, Kevin.
Getting the computer up. We're going to follow the same format we have in the past unless anyone has a disagreement. And you can stop me at any time to ask questions. All right. So this is through 4 months, which is the end of February. At that point, we should be at 33.3% of our budget. The general fund, we budgeted $19.4 million in revenue. We're currently at 6.0%, leaving us at 31% of our budget. Expenditures are budgeted at 19.5. Year-to-date, we're at 5.7, which leaves us at 29.4% of our budget. Parks and Recreation, revenue of 1.2, budgeted, actual is 798, leaving us at 66.29% of the budget, and that is due to the ad valorem tax coming in at one time. Expenses of 1.4 million, actual is 320,000, leaving us at 23.5% of budget. Public Works, 2.8 projected revenue, actuals is 1.4, leaving us at 50.54% of revenue. This is due to the ad valorem tax being recognized at once. Expenses of 2.8, actual is 797,000, leaving us at 28.5%. Sales tax, revenue of 8.1%, actual is 2.8, leaving us at 34.37. Expenses of 8.5, actual is 3.2, leaving us at 37.79%. You may ask, why is that a little higher? And that's because we transferred a lump sum at one time for an obligation. Public safety tax is at revenue of 3.1 million. Actual is at 1.1, leaving us at 35.83% of our budget. Expenses in that fund, the sales tax fund for public safety, is 3.1 million. Actual is 615,000, which brings us at 20% of our budget. Garbage fund, 4.8, actual 1.6, leaving us at 34%. Expenses of 4.8, budgeted, actual is 1.6, leaving us at 33.34%. Section 8, revenue of 1.3, actual is 464,000, leaving us at 35%. Expenditures of 1.3, actual is 451, leaving us at 33.7%. Wastewater, revenue of 6.5 million, actual 1.9, leaving us at 28.9%. Expenditures budgeted at 5 million, actual is 1.4, leaving us at 28.8%. Overall, I think we're looking good. Expenditures are below where they need to be. I have questions from the council. Oh. Oh.
Go.
Well, we talked about earlier about being conservative. This is the prime example of being conservative on the expense side. So I just want to applaud the department heads on every level for what they're doing to really keep this intact like we're doing right now. And thank you, Kevin, for everything you're doing.
Something we had implemented this year that seems to be working. Every 2 months, we're meeting with the department heads and going over their budgets year to date. And we just finished that, with the exception of Section 8, we finished that up today.
Well, it's showing, so thank you.
No problem.
Further comments, questions?
I just know that that's true because I was at the mayor's office today, and Kevin wasn't in his office, and my daughter stole like a lot of your candy, Kevin.
Yeah, she did come down the hall with both hands full. All good stuff. Thank you, Kevin. And again, Dustin Yuzaki, you hit it on the head. Thanks to all of our department heads, because without, like I said, without everybody working together, we wouldn't be heading where we head. Thank y'all. Let's see. Items for discussion, we have none. Now we go to councilman remarks. I'll start on Natalie's end.
I just want to kind of piggyback off of what the mayor said earlier when he was telling people, you know, we can't bond out money. We're kind of really limited, but we're doing the best we can, and you know, spending the money that we have the best way we can. But also, you know, just don't forget all the other great things this mayor is doing, you know, with his finesse and skills and networking. You know, we're seeing a lot of new things, and I'm gonna give it to him. I am. You know, Rouse's this past week. I mean, this city is going berserk over some. I haven't even gone yet because I'm really like I'm not even ready. I'm not. I don't like to grocery shop with everybody. I don't even grocery shop with family members. I go by myself. I'm one of those people. So you know, just don't. You know, when you see a pothole, or I have people calling me, you know, little thing, and you get aggravated. You know, try to think of the good things. You know, the good things that we're doing. He's using every resource he has to give you every improvement that he can. So I just want to just commend the mayor, because those are things that, yes, people are all excited about Rouse's. That, you know, that's a lot of Freddie and Jane, and that's a lot of networking. So, you know, I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, as we was reading in council, as we was reading our budget, and I saw, our audit report, and I saw we were down to 29,000 people, and last I checked, I thought we was at 32, and I'm asking them, come back and help us build. Our taxes are low, our community is working well together, our council is working well together. Come back and help us rebuild. Now, on a personal note, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, y'all have one on y'all desk. I didn't put them there, but this is actually my church. We are having, and I'm serving on this committee as well, we are having our National Day of Prayer. And we definitely want to invite everybody to come out. One more thing, I'm going to start announcing this now. We're getting together a town hall meeting on April the 29th at 6 o'clock in the West End Park. Concerning we're inviting Miss Superintendent Carrie Lavallee, just to bring people up to date on the the tax renewal for the school board maintenance. I just like to do those town halls to keep my community, my constituents, and my neighborhood abreast to what's happening, because a lot of people don't know, and then it's going to happen. The actual election is going to be May the 4th, and I don't think there's anything else on the ballot. So, you know, whatever way people decide to go, I definitely would like to inform. So that's April 29th, West End Park at 6 p.m., and you'll be hearing more about it.
Thank you. Mr. Broussard.
We waited long enough, Mr. Mayor DeCourt, to find out it was Rouse's that was coming through. Answered a lot of people's questions. We appreciate them coming and spending their fair money and us supporting them. Dan Dahl, can't say enough. You supported Catholic High. You come out on top. But it's the money y'all raised for that it's in our city, that Catholic High.
Yeah.
$360,000, a lot of money. I wish y'all luck and everything.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Now, getting back to my project. Easement issues along New Iberia streets.
Okay.
Placed on the next agenda as a discussion item. We all have easement issues. We need to bring it up. Mr. Mayor, please do your homework and answer some questions. I propose that the city of New Iberia contact the Acadian Planning Commission to get grants for infrastructure improvements at the following locations in New Iberia. In addition, it appears that the city must address easement issues. Number one, cement sidewalks from Catholic High School to Center Street. Number two, expansion of narrow roads to standard width, cover ditches, and provide the pedestrian sidewalks on a segment of Weeks and Julia Streets from one block of Dale to Almodal Highway. Also an issue of easements on Weeks and Julia Streets must be resolved. Number three, I wish to amend my previous request for traffic turning lanes at Almodal and Center Streets to include pedestrian crosswalks. This will provide access for pedestrians at the Center Street School and for others. Pedestrian crosswalk on Almodal at Iberia Streets to provide safe routes to public places and for students at the Center Street School. So if we can put that on next agenda, we're talking about easements. If you can, sir, as a discussion item, I appreciate it.
All right, I'll weed through that and figure something out.
You know.
It's a lot of items. I don't know
Yeah.
that all of that will be as a discussion. Some of that MPO would fund, some of it they probably won't. But I like to talk, so we'll have a good discussion. Thank you, Mr. B. Appreciate it. Matt?
You know, talking about Rouse's, I was there with the ribbon cutting with the mayor and some council members were there. And it was amazing how much support the community was there. You couldn't even walk. I had cheerleading. The money that Rouse's gave to the community already is unbelievable. But what's so nice about it, talking to Donnie Rouse this weekend, he said the first 2 days exceeded what they even predicted. And talking to people going to Rouse's, myself has not been there yet, besides that day, is that it's people you don't see, you don't know. It's new people. And that's what we thought, or the mayor's vision was, to get new people here. And I'm told that a lot of the customers there are not, they are new Iberia customers, but there's a lot of customers throughout the community, like Generette, Franklin, that's coming here. So that's what we need.
Yeah, Delcom's
And right now, if you look at the taxes already have been up every month since we adopted the budget in October. And that's not, and then we got a dress shop coming up, and we got Hobby Lobby, and it was a lot of work, as Natalie mentioned, and, you know.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, but, you know, the mayor, the IDF, I mean, it took a lot of people to make this happen. And I think the investment that Rouse has put, and the investment that other people put, is saying they have a lot of faith in New Iberia and direction is going. Because these people spend more money deciding they come in here before they come here. So they know better than we about what's coming. So that's a good thing for the parish and for the city. And of course, I think the mayor, he works 24/7. I mean, you know, and he doesn't get paid enough, I'm gonna say it, for what he does. But I think we all gonna benefit for the work that you do, Freddie, honestly.
You don't.
You know? So anyway, I just wanna echo what Natalie said, and thank you, and for everybody that was involved in making this happen, because you're really not taking from the other stores, you're adding something different that everybody can come and enjoy and spend money here. Thank you.
Thank you. Deidre?
I do want to say that I did attend the all-night prayer that they had at the Glorious Church on last Friday, and it was truly glorious. I would invite other council members to attend, at least one. I had a circle of ladies to surround me and pray for me and for our city, which was really moving. It really was, and very helpful. And it was an experience that I had not, I hadn't experienced it before. And it was something that I think everybody should. So there's one coming up at Zion Hill this month, later this month, at the end of the month, I think on the 26th, something like that. And then one at Mount Calvary in May. So please, if you ever get the opportunity to attend from 10 to 2, and you know, if you're not a late night person, well, you can
go Starbucks.
You can, but you can come in and, you know, leave when you want to, you know. I said I probably couldn't hang that long. I have my husband with me, and he goes to bed early, but he came out with me, and we hung until almost 1 o'clock. So I think we did real well, you know. It was a good experience. I also want to announce our Neighborhood Watch for District 4 this month is going to be on April the 11th, because our normal date would have been the 18th, but of course that's Holy Thursday. So it's on April the 11th at 6 o'clock at the Slyman, and of course everybody is invited to attend. And I want to say that I did go to Rouse's. I ventured out, and it was an experience. And it really was. And they were the most prepared people I'd seen in a long time. the way things were leaving the shelves and they were replacing it. I mean, they were really prepared for the crowd that was there. So hats off to, you know, the management there, because, you know, they're doing a real good job and helping our city in, of course, in the midst of all of this. Big boom. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure.
I once heard one of my fellow council members say that teamwork makes the dream work. Mr. Lewis, you always say something like that. I'm sure it's been said before, but I heard you say it. So I'm just proud of this council that we have not been divided thus far on any issue. And that's something to be celebrated. We had different opinions, but we have not been divided. And so I just want to commend this council for that. And I want to say congratulations to our very own John Travolta, the Mayor Pro Tem, for his moves and his grooves and the financial part in helping Dancing with the Stars. Also, too, I want to thank Miss Heather tremendously and Mr. Leroy for all the work that y'all put in for the little mini library. And I got to tell y'all, before I left for the weekend, I had to go run and look at it, and I was all excited like a small child looking at it and shine the light on it, the solar power. So thank you so much for the legs of it, and Miss Heather for adding the rubber flap, because there was a gap that was left and you all took care of that. Thank you. And also too, I just want to say that our mayor is doing a wonderful job, this council. And Mayor, you may be the shortest person in the room, but you're also the tallest person in my book. Okay? And also too, and also too, I just want to say that the team, we have not announced the neighborhood watch yet for the next quarterly meeting, because I do have a second job. And stuff like that, because Miss Genesis has to go to college, so I got an extra job just for that. So that'll be announced shortly. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Dustin.
All right, got a few comments. Tonight's meeting I thought was pretty optimistic. We had a lot of good things going on, from the Shot Street being renamed to the good audit report, great budget. Also want to say that I'm not going to go on about the mayor. I think we all did that along. Everybody else did it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for everything you do.
He's
blessed. We did have it was our second annual, we call it Day of the Diamond at Bank Avenue Park, softball park, this past Saturday. And although we had about a dozen volunteers, it still turned out to be a great day. We got a lot done. Nobody got hurt. And I want to keep that going. And I want to thank Heather for helping out, and Pat Thibodeau as well, and then the mayor for your support in doing that. So I want to say hats off to those guys, the Hall of Famers. It really means a lot to them when they come out in May and play that game, and the park is nice and clean for them to come enjoy it with their families. So thanks for everyone for that. And that's it for tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. I just have a few. Okay, wait. Natalie's telling me she forgot something, so I'm going to go back to Natalie.
I'm sorry, I had to, because we were talking about Rouse's, and I just have to say it. For every old politician in this town who, like, was backwards and was, like, didn't want to do things because it was going to tick other people off if we opened up a new business. No, I have to say it. I have had so many people tell me that since Rouse's is open, Walmart is on their game. They got the registers open. It's true. And that Super One has more discounts. I don't know how many people did not go get 4 Coke products for $8, because I know I did. So I'm just saying, like, competition is healthy. It is. And I don't care if you don't like Rouse's, we'll be happy that Walmart has more registers open, because we did that.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. I have a few comments. None of this could happen without teamwork and without every one of you sitting up here, every one of my department heads. I can't reiterate that enough. None of us did any one thing by ourselves. I get the good because good things are happening, but I also realize sitting here, I'm going to get the bad when bad things happen. And it just comes with the job. It's just part of the territory. I took this on to help move our city forward, as did all of you. And the real testament is to our teamwork. Of everything that's happening, none of this could happen. You know, y'all were part of every step of the way of everything we've done. I can't take any action without getting 4 votes up here. So I appreciate, everything that every one of you do, but we are definitely a team, and we're going to continue to be a team. That's what's making our city succeed. And you got to thank the community as well. People are coming out. The room was stacked tonight. They can stay home and watch it on TV. The room was stacked tonight. So people are pulling together throughout our community. It's a big picture item. It's not just law enforcement. It's not just the parks. It's all of us. It's every facet of our community is beginning to come together and realize that we are on a good path. We got a lot of work to do, though. We can't just lay around. We've begun to move, but boy, we got a long way to go. But with that in mind, we're gonna keep plugging. I have a couple of other things. We have a survey on the city's website for the MS4 storm water survey. That is a requirement of the state. So if you have a minute, look at it, fill it out. We'll be spending more money and doing more things under this MS4 over the next couple of years. The biggest one being we need a all-in water separator. That's about $250,000. We have some big expenses coming from this, but it's mandated by the state. So you'll be hearing more about that. Our next meeting is on April 16th. Civic Source, those 13 properties that we are going to be demoing pretty soon, that is a direct result of the work of Civic Source and having Civic Source and selling these properties. So civicsource.com, we got more properties to sell, and we'll take those revenues and put it right back into the community, cleaning the community up. Had a couple calls about what's happening at Devil's Pond. We have the water lowered because we are actually dredging Devil's Pond and cleaning it out. It needs to be a little deeper for the health of the fish. It has not been cleaned out in many years, so it is a project that we're undertaking, doing it basically in-house with some support. So that's coming, but I've had quite a few calls of why is there no water in Devil's Pond. Well, that's why there's no water in Devil's Pond. Other than that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Great, thank y'all.